What's up, folks? David Soto Jr. here, and this is the David Soto Jr. podcast. What's up, folks? Welcome to episode 17 of the David Soto Jr. podcast. I am your host, David Soto Jr., and it's kind of it's warm in here. It's cool out there, but it's warm in here. I actually turned the car around because the sun is over there. So now I record his videos for YouTube. So now I don't have a bright ass sun on me. But today's been a lazy day, and the highlight was to go get some ingredients to make dinner. I'm at my friend's house, and he has a kitchen, and I essentially cook every meal that we're here. I pretty much cook. And so tonight we're going to he's got some chicken in there. I don't usually do chicken breasts, but they're all pre-diced for like a stir fry. So I'm going to use some creamy pasta sauce and broccoli and do a kind of a pasta con broccoli. But instead of pasta, I'm going to put chicken con broccoli. So that's going to be our supper. Today I want to talk about, and like I said, this podcast is for me. If you get enjoyment out of it, if you learn something from it, great. But things come up. Sometimes they're selfish. Sometimes they're things I want to vent about. Sometimes they're things that I just want to talk out loud about myself. But in this case, this is something I want to put out there in the universe. This is something I want to make an announcement. All right. And I want to start saying this and let people hear it. And what it is I was going to title this, How to Sell 1 Million Books, right? How to Sell 1 Million Books. That's going to name the title of this episode, but is that a question? It's kind of a question. How do you sell 1 million books? But I'm a fan of positive thinking. I'm a fan of affirmations. So I am making the announcement. The declaration right now is that I, David Soto Jr., sell 1 million books, right? I am selling 1 million books. I want to sell 1 million goddamn books, okay? First of all, I don't want to worry about finance anymore. I don't want to worry about, I want to sell 1 million books, and if I can do that, I'll be straight. I don't need $1 gazillion. I don't need half $1 gazillion. If I can sell 1 million books, that will probably, it may not. But you know my goal is to buy a $4 million ranch up in the mountains. If I can sell 1 million books, I think average, that'll get me there. It'll get me pretty damn close. I'll tell you that. I want to sell 1 million bucks. I got 3 rental properties right now that I want to get rid of. I want to sell them, and I'm behind. Every other asshole in this country gets to buy a house 10 years ago and is making a killing off of it, except me. I buy fucking houses in St. Louis, Missouri, and I don't make any money. They lose value. I buy them before the whole 2008 fucking crash. While everything else in the country bounced back from 2008's crash, my houses in piece of shit St. Louis haven't. I'm a little pissed off about it. So I want to pay off, hit 1 million books, sell 1 million books. I can pay off those houses, and maybe I can't afford my ranch, but I can upgrade my van to a van that fits me. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm 6'7", and this goddamn van is small. All right, I need a bigger van. I'm not asking for much, just 1 million people to buy one of my books. Split the difference. 500,000 people buy 2. I don't care. I just want to sell 1 million books. All right. So the title of this podcast is How to Sell 1 Million Books. And I'm going to document the process. I'm a little behind, but I'm going to document the process of me selling 1 million books. And so I got to start now. And like I said, I'm a little behind, but we'll start with, and I've already published 2 in this series, but we'll start with NaNoWriMo. National Novel Writing Month, which was November of 2017, was when I sat down and started writing fiction. Before that, I was kind of messing around with a memoir. November of 2017, I started the National Novel Writing Month Challenge and worked on what I thought was going to be a novel called The Warrior Pierre. Pierre is the character who comes in and saves the day, so to speak. He's the hero of my first book. My first book is Los Chocolates de Esperanza Diamante. Okay? It's in English. I'm sorry I titled it in Spanish. I apologize. Los Chocolates de Esperanza Diamante is completely in English. There's a little bit of Spanish in there, but if you've read Luis Alberto Urrea, you would know. I write in that kind of style. There's some Spanish in there, a little bit of here, a little bit of there. Words, not sentences. All right. Pierre Bernal de los Campos is the hero of that book. If there's a hero, he's the male figure. All right. Book 2 was the whore Marisol Rivera. She does not know it. I've never met him, but she knows Pierre. And so I write the story of when they meet, basically. So after that second book, I'm like, well, I'll write the third book, and it'll be all of Pierre. So I had a title in mind, and I was going to title it The Warrior Pierre. So NaNoWriMo comes. I'm trying to write a novel in 30 days. I fail. I fail miserably. But I'm writing. And I'm writing what ends up being several stories. Now, I know I'm going to put Pierre in Cuba. That's going to come later. But I got to get him from Panama to Cuba, and he's going to walk. So he gets to Panama, he gets to Costa Rica. I start writing the Cuba story because it's on my mind, and I got the book. And so I started writing, and when I got to my buddy's house, my buddy's cabin, a few weeks ago, I was completely isolated. Had to take a snow machine to get to his cabin. Snow machine. There's nobody out there. There's no internet. There's no nothing. I'm sitting down writing. And I do something. I'm looking like 3 hours worth of work goes by. I write on the first day, I write on the second day, and on the second day I finish a story that's supposed to be in this novel. And I feel so good about it. It's the Cuba story. It's the one where I had to read a book, the only book that exists on this subject. Now this story, Pierre goes to, he's in Cuba, he meets Fidel Castro, and he gets involved in the Moncada attack in 1953, July 6, 1953. He gets involved in it. I wanted to have like this really kind of a tragic ending. There's a reason for that. If you read Los Chocolates, you know about Pierre's background. I didn't know he was going to be a character that I wrote about it. But if you read Los Chocolates, you know a lot about Pierre. And I needed to cater this story to one of those things that we learn about him in book 1. So, when I wrote the last line of this story, which is going to be a part of the book, I was elated. I was super excited. And I was I was happy. I even made a video. There's nobody to tell. Like, I couldn't text anybody. I couldn't call anybody. I couldn't put it on social media. I couldn't do anything. I had nobody to tell, and I was so happy. I felt it. And there's this feeling that, I don't know if this happens with everybody, but there's this feeling that I get when I write the last words, and I know those are the last words of the story. This story is done. So that's what happened. I finished it. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, this is a book. It's a novella. This isn't, I have to publish this on its own. I want to publish this Cuba story that should have been in the book. The Warrior Pierre is now going to be in its own book. And now that I'm going to publish this as novella, that means the other stories that were in this book, they can be published together. And that will be the Warrior Pierre. So essentially what happened is I now have 4 books in this series. I'm working on publishing this book, which is called Moncada, right? It's about the Moncada attack. I didn't title it Moncada. The subtitle is The Birth of a Revolution. And it's going to be historical fiction. I'm going to categorize it as historical fiction on Amazon. And we're going to see what happens with ratings, with rankings on that. So that's where I am. I finished the 3rd book in this series. That's cool. Now here's the thing about it. They're novellas. They're not thick ass, 500-page books. They're 100-page books, more or less. And if this dog fucking barks, my buddy came out here and his dog is a barker. So we'll see. Here's the thing. They're a couple of dollars, right? You buy one, you want to read it. Or you read it, you enjoy it, you like it enough, then you buy the next one, right? It's a series. I never expected that I would write a 4-book series, maybe a 5-book series, but this is part of selling 1 million books. Would I like to sell 1 million of Los Chocolates, and then every one of those 1 million people will have to buy the 2nd book and 3rd book and 4th book, and et cetera, et cetera? Yeah, but I have a better chance of selling 1 million books if I have more people buy multiple books. Now, this isn't it's not a scam, right? But this is how I write. I write short stories. And if I can stretch them out long enough, right, I can stretch them into a novella. It just feels right for me to publish these small books. If something happens someday where I get representation and I get an editor, and an editor can take all these books and put them in chronological order and think that it's something, think that it's a novel, that would be great. I'll put them all in one book. But for now, I'm going to publish them as I write them, and I really feel good about this. It's mentioning Luis Alberto Urrea. You got to say it right, bro. You got to say it right. And mentioning him, I found out that he was in Denver by chance. So I went to see him, and I didn't have a book. I didn't have any books to give him. So I went to Boulder Bookstore, and I got a book. And I said, this is my book. I want it. It was my own book, right? And so I went to Denver, and I bought his book, House of Broken Angels. And I stood in line so that he can sign it for me. And when I got to him, he's like, okay. And I didn't do a yellow sticky for him to sign, because they do that for you at bookstores to make it easier for the author. But what I did was I slid my book over in front of him, and I said, this is my name. And he read my name on Los Chocolates, on the paperback of Los Chocolates, and said, I've heard of you. And he's thinking, he's pondering, somebody asked me if I've read your stuff before. Very interesting. Huh. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, where was I? So you got to realize that next to Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who is now dead, Luis Alberto Urrea is like this fucking guy in his bugle. I'm worried about his dog fucking barking, and he gets on his elk bugle and starts fucking bugling. Anyways, Luis Alberto Urrea says that somebody recommended or asked about me, mentioned my name before. And basically, he's my hero. Now that Gabriel Garcia has passed away a couple years ago. So for him to have heard that, heard of me somehow, is pretty cool. Not only that, when I slid my book towards him, I go, well, here, now you can read it. And I gave him a copy, and he's like, fucking cool, man. Which, that's pretty cool. You know, I like people who say F-bombs. So he reached in his jacket pocket, and he gave me a business card. He said, yeah, so we can keep in touch. I'm like, all right. I already fucking stalk your ass on social media, but yeah, So we keep in touch. So that's super cool. I don't know if he'll read it, but maybe he'll read it. Maybe he'll love it. Maybe he'll mention it. Who knows? Maybe he'll give me feedback. Shit, even if it's like, dude, you need to, make some corrections here. I'm currently on my third rewrite. People call them rewrites. I call them read-throughs, whatever. But Moncada is just almost done. The problem is the book that I read, entitled The Moncada Attacks by what is his name? Just say Dr. De La Cova. Rafael De La Cova. It's the only book out there on the Moncada attacks. What I thought I was doing, I thought I was taking out quotes like Fidel Castro, historical quotes from Fidel Castro, and I thought it'd be good to put that as content in my book. I thought it'd be kind of cool, kind of neat. Well, anyways, then I got kind of like cold feet, so I reached out to the author of the book and asked him about if I can quote a historical figure that he's quoting his book. Is that copyright infringement? Is that his? And that was kind of I feel like I should have just kept my mouth shut. If you've ever heard the quote, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, I kind of just wish that I pressed on and kept going. In the end, he kind of says, if you quote citations, right? So if I quote citations from his book, he said I can use them as long as they are in quotes. I'm writing fiction, so all dialogue is in quotes, but I don't know. What I'm going to end up doing is going through the third read-through. So it was still cool that I got in contact with the author of this book. Very, very important book, because I wouldn't have known the history. It wouldn't have been my source of historical facts that I could be able to tell this story about the Moncada attack and then intertwine Pierre into it. It was cool. I appreciated him reaching out, and I told him that I'd send him a copy when the time comes, when it's done. So I'm going to do one more I was going to do a third read-through before I get to the proofreader. I'm going to do a third read-through, and I'm going to make sure that there is no word-for-word quotes out of his book. You can't copyright historical facts, but I don't want to plagiarize his stuff. Now, I thought it was cool to take out quotes, and I thought it would be safe, but I don't know. So I'm going to do that third read-through, and the book cover is, I think, it's final. I think the book cover is done. And that's the thing, one of the things I'm working on, it's part of the process is getting the book cover I guess I always thought I was going to write more. I didn't know it was going to happen like this. So this is actually my fourth book cover, designed by the same person. They all have this same blend, this same look about them, and I really like that. The designer, I think her career took off by designing the book cover for Los Chocolates. She designed the book cover for Los Chocolates. I did it with her on, that sounds weird. I hired her off 99 Designs, and for every other book, I've hired her indirectly for every other job. Directly for every other job. So from that first job, public job on 99 Designs, she has broken out and gotten a lot of work. Luckily for me, she feels some sense of obligation, because it was my book cover that she designed that got all this attention. So I'm lucky because she stays affordable for me, and she has that taste, that same sense that goes into each book cover. We were writing back and forth. I kind of like one, and there's a little bit of detail here, a little bit of thing here, and she always has this little bit of a sense. She goes, I think I want to add this. What do you think? And she puts it in, it feels great. Like that feeling that the book cover is done. I get that feeling just looking at it. When I know, when it's done, I get a feeling from it by looking at it. Up until then, something's missing. So I don't know. I mean, this looks good, but But when a book cover is right, it just feels right. And so I think we're finally there with the book cover. And so that means it's on me. Book cover is taking a while, but it's done. Now it's on me. I got to do these read-throughs, these final read-throughs. I got to get the book ready to proofread. And yeah, the proofreading comes after, right? Because I'm so dumb that I can't write anything until after. I mean, I can't write anything after it comes back from the proofreader. If I write something afterwards, and I've already paid the proofreader, there's a good chance it's going to have errors in it. That's how horrible at this I am. So I do all of my read-throughs. My book, I think, is final, and I'm done. And that way, when it comes back, it's ready to print. Because if I have any changes, like any story changes, any rewrites, anything after the proofreader looks at it, I'm done. There's going to be errors in it. I can't apologize. I can't, what do I want to say? I can't help it that I'm dumb when it comes to this stuff. Like, I don't know if I can improve on it because I can't write the word an, the preposition, right? I think I heard somebody say that. I can't write the preposition an without writing the word and. It just doesn't happen. I can't write an. I can't write an without writing and. There's a couple other examples of things like that I go through. Like, there's this, I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's part of my whole mental issue, I guess. But that is, you're up to date. You are currently up to date on my process of how I'm going to sell 1 million books. All right. That's it. I felt like, how can this be worth listening to? Maybe, I don't know. But something was telling me that I have to put it out there that I'm in the process of selling 1 million books. So far, maybe I got like 100 and something down. A lot more to go. All right. So if you want to check out my books, you can Google me, David Soto Jr. You can go to Amazon and type in David Soto Jr. You can go to my website, David Soto Writes. You can find me on Twitter at davidsotojr.com. I hate when I do that. See, I get so excited. At David E. Soto Jr. Jr. on Twitter and on Instagram. At David E. Soto Jr. on Twitter or on Instagram. Reach out to me. I'll send you a link to my books if you want to buy one. But it's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble too, but I don't know if I'll keep those chocolates there. The other ones aren't there. They're all exclusive to Amazon. In paperback, in Kindle. And hell, if you want to read those chocolates for free, you go to a website. Go to davidsotorights.com. You can read it for free. But my plan is that you like it so much that you buy the next book because you want to find out what happens. But it goes out of order. I can't explain how I wrote these books, people. I can't explain it. I basically wrote the last one first. Pulp Fiction type stuff. All right, folks, that's it for me. I appreciate you tuning in. My name is David Soto Jr. I'm selling 1 million books. I will talk to you later. Thank you.